Hello, good morning. It's just coming up to 7 AM on Wednesday the 27th of February, and I'm just setting off on a 200km DIY Audax ride from my hometown in Bath up to Iron Bridge Youth Hostel. Iron Bridge is round about the same latitude as Wolverhampton, and is generally regarded as being the historical birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. So this video is going to be a little bit different to my normal offerings. This is going to be 3-in-1 rides. So my plan is to DIY a 200 today up to the youth hostel, stay overnight, and then I'm going to do a 200km DIY back tomorrow from Iron Bridge Hostel back to Bath. And then Friday will be a rest day, and then on Saturday I've entered a calendar event. It's one of the classic early season Audax roads. It's from Chepstow across the Gospel Pass and back to Chepstow, 150 kilometres. I'm actually going to ECE it, which is an extended calendar event. So I'm going to ride from my home in Bath to the start at Chepstow, ride the event, and then ride home afterwards. So I'll extend a 150km ride into a 200km Audax. In fact, it's going to be well over 200 kilometres, nearer 250, and there's a reason for that as well. So I've always found the jump from 200 kilometres up to 300 kilometres quite significant, because it quite often happens in the spring as the days are starting to lengthen, starting to get a bit fitter. But I also find I use 300 kilometres as a bit of a benchmark, an anchoring effect, because once you get to 300 kilometres, 400 seems relatively easy. It's just another 5 hours, say at 10 o'clock at night. It's very achievable. And then with 600km rides, it's just back-to-back 300s. So that transition from 200 to 300 kilometres, I've always found is a real bridge from just doing day rides in the winter to really increasing the distances substantially. A lot of people feel long distance running, long distance cycling, any endurance sport, they often say the first half is physical, the second half is mental. I would tend to agree with that. In fact, I refer to it as limbs versus the limbic system. And of course, riding 3 200km events in 4 days this early in the year sort of replicates what I've been attempting to do in June. It allows me to sort of test myself, see where I am physically and mentally. I mean, for instance, tomorrow when I wake up, I've got to get on my bike and come home. No choice. Saturday when I wake up, if it's raining, there's always going to be the temptation, do I really want to spend all day out in the rain? So it's quite a good sort of mental workout really. I mentioned in the last video that I use goal setting a lot. I found the benefits quite substantial. And yes, it's always good to put it out there and tell people what you intend to do. It puts a little bit of social pressure on you to see it through, to be honest. There's another really valuable tip I believe is worth passing on. What I would do is, when I'm thinking about the goals I'm setting myself, I'll actually write them down, what they're actually going to look like when I achieve them, and more importantly, why they're important to me. And it's not a war and peace, it's just a few lines really. What I've found when you write them down, and you look at them quite often, they get embedded in your subconscious, and it really does unleash creativity and resilience. Good morning, it's Thursday morning now, it's just gone 7:30. I'm just setting off from the youth hostel. I've just packed my bike up and the rain's just started to come on. You can hear it under this brolly I'm sat under.